Hi, I'm Jacob Holiday with HomeSchool Channel. It's another beautiful day in Southern California here. And joining me today is Champ Baginski with the HomeSchool Campus. How are you doing today?
Excellent. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. It's good to have a fellow athlete actually sitting down with me today. I have a lot of teachers I've interviewed in the past, love their professions, but I do have a very close connection with you already, even though it's my first time meeting you because of your athletic background. So I know you're going to be teaching some classes this upcoming semester at Campo Beach and at Riverside. Tell me a little bit more about the classes. I know you're going to be covering 4 sports in them as well. So why don't you just let everyone know about your class?
Yeah, we've got our all sports class, which is 4 weeks of basketball, baseball, soccer, and flag football. And what it does is it allows homeschool parents to get their kids obviously active in sports, but it gives them a little taste of every sport to see which sport their child gravitates toward. Because a lot of times kids don't know what they don't know. They've never tried, say, flag football, or they've never tried baseball, and they don't realize, oh man, this sport is for me. So it's definitely one of our most popular classes, and we absolutely have a blast running it. The kids leave with smiles, and we can't wait to get started.
That's very well put. Being able to experience, I think, a lot of sports, but also devote enough time to it to where the kids really get to know it. I think it's great because I tried all of those sports. I ended up choosing tennis, so a completely different one, but I had fun playing all those sports, and it actually strengthened my athletic ability. You can learn something from each one of those sports. That's why we have something called cross training. And for cross training, for people who don't know, when you train in one sport primarily, but sometimes you train in another to help out other attributes that might not get highlighted in your primary sport. So that's all fantastic. And we were talking a little off screen about how, there's such a necessity, especially now times, for not just students, but really for everyone to be getting out and getting active. I just started working out again. And I could tell you, just as a guy, just being able to work out and get out there and get after it, the productivity on just about every level has been increasing, by folds over and over again. I'm more productive, when I'm studying, when I'm working physically. So, and that's something that's really missing today with a lot of students. We're all stuck on our phones, on social media, and it's turning into a little bit of a problem. People are getting in slumps they can't get out of. So how important is it for students not only to get the education they need, which they can get through homeschooling and the homeschool campus, but actually getting that physical aspect to education?
Well, I think you nailed it. I think, sports are so important, and we preach this to all of our kids in all of our classes, is that it is so important physically, but just as important mentally throughout your entire life as well. So physically, obviously, we call it the iPad age, where every kid is on their phone, their tablet, video games, this or that and the other. And it's so important and imperative to get out there and be physically active. There's so many studies done with increased blood flow, how important it is. But just as important, like I said, is mentally. Right now, just coming out of COVID or toward the end of COVID, there are so many kids that, desperately need this in the mental capacity too. And we preach in all of our classes. We try to do bigger life lessons. Sports are important. The lessons that you learn from sports when you're a parent, in your career, when you go to school, every aspect of life, there are messages from sports that we take away that we can use in those. And again, for me, it's absolutely imperative that kids play and are active. We don't care what sport it is. We don't care if it's even not one of those sports. If it's not basketball, baseball, soccer, flag football, it could be WWE wrestling. It could be karate. It doesn't matter. It's just so important that kids are active.
Absolutely. The active element is something, like you said, iPad age. We're in this new age with the shift in technology and how the world around us is operating with COVID. More people have been drawn onto, iPads and to social media and all these other aspects that the internet provides us with. But there's kind of this gaping hole. And what's really cool is I've been looking at some studies as of recently. A lot of people in my generation are starting to realize this. They're starting to limit the time on their phone. They're starting to limit the times they play video games. I used to love playing video games. As of yesterday, actually, I deleted every video game I have. I don't have it anymore. Completely. Yeah. And I'm not the only one. I'm actually a little late on the curve here. But one thing I will say that I've learned, and I think I have a little bit more experience in terms of kids that might be younger than me, is that when you get rid of an old habit, you have to replace it with a new habit. And sometimes getting that physicality in is exactly what's needed. So do you have, any instances of, well, before we actually get into that, can you relate to that on some level? When you were younger and, it was very different, obviously, you didn't have the social media pressure that a lot of students have today, but how important was that physical aspect and that athletic aspect in your life when you were growing up?
Well, I know you've probably heard this from your parents, but it's true. Like when in my generation, our parents on weekends would send us out at 8 in the morning. We wouldn't be back home until 7 at night. And my kids are always like, well, Dad, what did you possibly do for 11 hours? We played sports. We literally got all the kids in the neighborhood. We'd go in somebody's backyard and we would play sports, build forts, things of that nature. But we were outdoors. Quite honestly, it was one of the best times of my life. It was such a blast. And another, kind of key to what you're saying, another story is my own daughter. I've got an 8-year-old daughter at home. She suffers from social anxiety. She has some issues when it comes to that. And sports has really, really, really helped her out from that. And I think it's through, the ability to socialize with other kids and really kind of help fight this anxiety that she has. And, I'm not going to say she's a completely different person, but, my mom and I were talking about this yesterday, how much she's blossomed from getting involved in softball and soccer and basketball. And it's just, we wouldn't be here, quite honestly, without sports. And it really has helped her tremendously in so many aspects. So sports has given back to my family more than anybody can understand.
Definitely. I can relate with that for sure. For sure. I was very similar in the sense to your daughter in that, I kind of was a little bit more, when I was younger, I was more on the timid side when it came to other kids. I could talk to adults just fine. I don't know why that was, probably because I was homeschooled, but I had a real tough time with other kids. And what really helped me break the ice into that realm with socializing with my peers was athletic activity. So it's something that's really underrated because it's not just about getting that physical aspect in and improving your own health, your athleticism. It also really helps with socialization, getting out there and actually building a network with other kids. And that's something that is grossly underrated. Now you have another child, a son, right, as well?
Yep. I got a 5-year-old who is already in soccer. He's already in basketball. We do a fitness class he's been involved with. So he is just as into sports as my daughter is.
Yeah, that's fantastic that you start them young and then you bring them up through that. When I was growing up and when I was having to go through the loops of homeschooling, athleticism is really something that saved my life. And it's something that, helped me progress, like I said, socially, but also what it does is it builds a lot of connections, because if you don't get that social aspect in, then, if you're playing some sort of recreational sport like tennis, which is the one I played, I didn't play it recreationally, but you lose out on that social aspect. And one thing I've been talking about, a theme with some of the teachers that I unintentionally uncovered, was this aspect of community. And so this will probably be it. And I think this is a good note to end on, understanding that aspect of community, because it's something that is definitely a challenge when it comes to homeschooling, because we're doing really well on the education side. We have the test results to prove that, but we need that socialization aspect and building that community. So how does sports, just elaborate a little bit more, maybe with you, with your life, but also your daughter, how did that socialization aspect help build a community for her and really help her blossom?
Well, you nailed it. I mean, she was very similar to you, where she could speak with adults, but whatever it was, there was a block with other kids. She would, we would go to birthday parties or we would go to social events that had kids, and she would hide behind me. And, I just couldn't figure it out for the life of me. If these were all adults here, you'd have no problem. But because it's all kids, you're panicking. And I think it is, with sports, many of them are team sports. And I think it just requires you to kind of pull yourself out of, your comfort zone and get to know other kids and, really just kind of understand the socialization aspect of it. And I think that's such a big aspect. And whole picture, I just want to say this too, that we are relatively new to the homeschool community. We've been involved for about 2.5 years. And I grew up in Kansas, and there wasn't a huge homeschool population in Kansas. So I didn't know what to expect. And I've got to tell you, I have been so impressed with not only the socialization of these kids, but their desire to learn. These kids want to learn sports. They ask great questions. They try. I can't tell you, as my company, Breakthrough Sports, we work with, somewhere around 7,000 kids a year. And the number one issue we face is we just got kids that are out there that, I don't know how to put this more eloquently, they just don't care. They don't care one way or the other. They're not trying to get better. They're there just to be there. Whereas there's something in the homeschool world right now where the kids do want to improve. They do enjoy what they're doing. It doesn't matter if they've been playing their whole lives or never played at all. They genuinely are more curious. And it's just been so rewarding. I've had by far some of my best moments of my career in homeschool classes. And, it's probably my favorite thing to do every week is work with the homeschoolers to see their improvement, not just on the court, but off the court. I truly enjoy every aspect of it.
Well, that's all wonderful to hear. I'm very glad that you have such a positive experience from homeschooling. And as a homeschooler myself, I can definitely vouch for it. I mean, what's so fantastic about the community is, you get so much freedom to explore what you want to do that it's very hard to get kind of stuck in a rut and go through the motions and turn education into a mundane experience, because you really do have a lot of control. Yeah, you got to do your work, but you don't have to sit in class for an hour every single day. Maybe you're going to get your work done in 20 minutes because you're good at math. But then, hey, you need a little more time on English. You can do that. Now you can have more time devoted to sports, extracurricular activity. So it really builds a desire for improvement. So that's another thing that's so great about the program I know that you're going to be offering. It's that it's not just an opportunity for kids to kind of step out of the classroom, get outside, get some fresh air and socialize, but they're going to be in an environment with kids that are going to push them. They're going to help. It's going to help build that mental toughness. You're going to socialize more. You're going to be able to understand at least 4 different sports fairly well, so that you can make an educated decision if you want to play any of them. And even if you're playing another sport, it's always fun to get out and play those sports. I love every single one of them.
Yeah, and we've got a rule at our own house. We require our kids to try every sport. Once they've tried every sport, they can pick whatever they want to do, but they have to try everything. And that's not just sports too. We want them trying, music, theater, arts, all that stuff. And then whatever they gravitate toward, they can go. But we definitely want them trying everything.
Definitely. Couldn't have put it better myself. Well, I'm going to say thank you to you for coming on and sharing a little bit about yourself as well as your course. And also thank you to all of our viewers back home or wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in and watching on Homeschool Channel. Chad is going to be offering classes this upcoming semester in the fall at Capo Beach and the Riverside campus through Homeschool Campus. So definitely go check him out and get your kids out there, get them having fun and have them compete a little bit athletically. There's a lot to learn and there's a lot of ways for them to grow, as we have discussed. And once again, thank you, Chad.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. You have a good one.
You too.